Hello everybody, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the eMavericks first Google Hangout. eMavericks new wave of online businesses is the latest initiative by CIO Association of India powered by Dell. The genesis of eMavericks is that our lives and businesses are moving more and more online. eMavericks aspires to become a go-to platform and community for peer learning among CXOs, entrepreneurs, and investors of online businesses. We have a very impressive expert panel today comprising of a CIO, a technology leader, an entrepreneur, and a technology evangelist. They will share with you their experiential insights on how to build a customer-centric digital business. Our panel members are Mr. Hitesh Arora, CIO of Indian Subcontinent at Yum Brands, which includes KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. Mr. Chris Kelly, Executive Director, Strategy and Transformation, Dell Asia Pacific and Japan. Mr. Satosh Panda, Founder and CEO of Explara, and Mr. Ranjit Mitrani, Director and Southern Geo Head of Dell India. In terms of the format, I will be asking each of the panel member a set of initial 2 questions. And once that is done, they will be more than happy to take up all your questions. We will start. We will start this hangout by asking the first questions to Mr. Hitesh Arora. He's been veteran in the Indian industry. He's one of the most respected CIOs in the country. He spent 2 successful decades in the financial services sector before moving on to retail. So, hello, sir. In the recent times, how are customer expectations changing in the services and retail industry, and how can technology help keep up to them?
Well, hello everyone. What I will do is that I will break the question into 2 parts, and I will probably first address as to how customer expectations are changing in service and retail industry, especially keeping the new technology innovations which are happening, and very frequently the technology keeps on changing too. And the second part, I will probably bring in the technology which can probably help to ensure those customer expectations can be met. In today's time, what I can certainly say that retail is getting very, very complicated. It is no longer a case of simply stocking the shelves with the desirable goods and waiting for shoppers or consumers to just lock the door. Rapid development in technology is changing the game. It's changing the way consumers are looking towards organizations and the retail industry. And I do believe as the world gets more complex, delivering a simpler and more flexible service becomes kind of more important. In today's time, modern day, what I can certainly relate to being in the retail industry is that we have to make goods available via websites, via apps, via M-sites, via collaborations, via in addition to running the brick and mortar stores, we need to also run a successful e-commerce platforms where consumers can come and do transactions, and this is pretty much running across the timelines. You need to certainly see the expectation from a customer is getting more and more real, more and more flexibility, and more instant. That is what we are seeing. Everything is happening as quickly on a swipe of finger. Expectation of consumer is instant expertise, instant availability, no waiting time. Those are the kind of stuffs which we keep on hearing. And the end customers are actually getting into mobile technology and e-commerce, and they are basically mixing the 2 pieces together, whether their experience on these new age technologies and versus their experience in brick and mortar. They want to kind of do a seamless experience of the technology everywhere they go. That is a big time, expectation which is building up. The second piece, which is complicating the platform a bit, is the growing demand of consumers, for better and more efficient service, powered by some key technology trends. You talk about mobile, you talk about social, you talk about these two intuitive technology platforms. These have direct or indirect relation to your reputation, your brand. Be good, bad, people are vocal about it. So hence you need to be more on the kind of on the mark for yourself. This is a new age expectation which is building up, and by far mean the already pre-existing expectation of organizations and retail industry to be fast, efficient, accurate, high quality product at competitive prices, friendly, helpful service, prompt responses, cleanliness, everything remains. So those don't go away, but these are additionally coming in, and hence the life, what I personally believe is getting real complicated for the industry. How technology can help keep up to them, and how we can probably technology can enable these expectations to be met. It's a chicken and egg story. The challenge of technology to keep up to these expectations is both daunting and potentially rewarding, because technology has its own ifs and buts. The way it works. Uh, Customers are getting impatient. They are always on the lookout on best in class. It is getting real tough these days. Uh, Two big aspects on technology, which I personally believe would help to meet this expectation, make it easier for the consumers to get in touch by improving the ways and opening channels by which the consumer can get in touch with the brands, and of course integrate the services to bring omni-channel consistent experience across many channels. Any channel the consumer comes in, consumer should probably get the right experience and the same experience. I think these are the two big things which technology can enable and to help these expectations.
Thanks a lot. This is a very comprehensive viewpoint. Thanks for sharing this with us. So, given this basis, what were the key challenges in taking Pizza Hut online in India, and how did you overcome that? Please share the main highlights from your journey.
Yeah, sure. Before I get into the challenges which we faced with Pizza Hut, for everybody's common know-how, we have over for Pizza Hut we have over 400 stores in India. It's a fastest growing business for us in India, and the way the business is structured in India is a 100% franchise business. But we have multiple franchises. We are not running in a master franchise model like some of our competition runs, and that brings a challenge, to a multifold kind of stuff. And the biggest challenge we faced when we decided to go on the online and the digital front was this multi-franchise model leading to multiple technology platforms. We were not on one technology platform. We were on different point of sale solutions for each franchise partner. And hence, if we need to go online, how do we need to bring an integration in place so that we can ensure that the orders are received by the stores, and orders are executed by the stores, and the food is delivered real hot and fresh to consumers. And
Right.
that, sorry,
Sorry, some of our viewers are saying that can you speak a bit louder? Little bit louder, more.
little bit louder, more.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Okay. So the challenge, was with this aspect of multiple franchise, multiple technologies, different flavors of point of sale solution, and of course the other big piece of of working across India, getting into category B, A, C, D, all kind of cities is the connectivity. How do we ensure persistent connectivity availability so that ensure that the order is actually dispatched to the store and store receives? Just to give you an overview why the larger concern is on this front is because our guarantee, our assurance to deliver pizza on time was 30 minutes, and there is order receiving time, making time, packing time, driving time, all put together 30 minutes. So if I have to deliver the pizza in 30 minutes, I need to ensure that the order is received by the store in few seconds, so that we don't waste time on communicating between the order placement and order receipt. So this was one of the biggest key challenge in taking up this project. And the second big piece was the fulfillment. Fulfillment needs to happen in 30 minutes. Otherwise, the assurance goes for a toss, and we will have a customer dissatisfaction upfront, which will lead to business loss and which will lead to commercial loss for us. And of course, the way we are organized in our business model, there for each store there is a trade area which is allocated to it. It can only serve to that particular trade area. And how do we really ensure consumer coming onto our website, coming onto our mobile, are actually reaching the right store by keying in the right address? So it was getting a little complicated for us, and hence we had to design a solution which meets all these expectations and ensure that that we are meeting our expectation and exceeding our expectation and ensuring customer satisfaction all through our transactions. So that was the biggest challenge to take up. Of course, the last bit of challenge was that competition was way ahead of us. They had started much earlier. We were late entry into it, and of course we had to cover a lot of ground. So that was the biggest challenge for us. How did we overcome? We designed a quick input on this one. We went through a comprehensive, upfront, all-inclusive approach. We brought in the business, we brought in the marketing, we brought in the operation, we brought in the technology guys, and we brought in the partners who were helping us to develop this platform together, and took a very comprehensive view right from consumer study to launch, taking design, development, test, all steps in a very agile manner, so that we could design a platform which is much more intuitive, much more user friendly, much more meeting our expectation kind of stuff. And hence what evolved out of this was a e-commerce platform which could handle multi-channel, and hence ensure an omni-channel deliverably consistent experience across any channel if consumer comes in, and of course ensured us a faster rollout, ensuring to our standards, and of course assurance and consistency.
That is great. Thanks a lot. That was fairly very comprehensive. I'm sure that some questions will follow.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so moving on from a CIO perspective for an established brand in the Indian context, let us now hear from Chris from Singapore. With more than 20 years of experience, Chris leads the solution, strategy, and business development functions for Asia Pacific and Japan region for Dell. Hello, Chris. The online commerce, is extremely hot right now in China and India. Every day in a newspaper, there's news of online commerce. So what are you hearing from your customers across the APJ region? Please share with us.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the time. Look, firstly, I think it's fairly fair to say that the industry as a whole has been inundated with a number of buzzwords and the associated trends for the past 5 years or so. Cloud, big data, mobility, web scale, etc. And whilst a lot of positive change has occurred in the industry as a result of the hype associated with these trends, I think there is a deeper understanding that's being lost if we fail to recognize the reason that these technologies have been getting so much attention. The force behind cloud, big data, mobility, etc., is really the notion of digital transformation, as you mentioned. And more specifically in this context, digital transformation of business processes and business models. And obviously the e-commerce market is right at the epicenter when it comes to the digitization of business processes. So with that in context, I'll focus on a couple of the core trends and requirements we're hearing from our customers across the region. Firstly, as markets are becoming increasingly competitive and as traditional boundaries are being broken down, now that could be geographic boundaries or on a political basis, or even based on new interpretations of the market and uncovering market adjacencies. Either way, there's an increased competition entering many markets, and the future for many organizations is largely uncertain. But the one thing that is certain is that businesses need to be agile in order to survive and in fact to thrive. And now if we apply that to the e-commerce space, particularly in this space, the traditional boundaries that once existed are now almost non-existent. Large global players can easily enter most markets across the world, and Asia is obviously seen as a hyper-growth region in that regard for many of the global players. But equally, on the flip side, it needs to be recognised that a well-positioned smaller player from Asia can look to the outside world for market growth opportunities and find new ways to attack the global whales, if you like, attacking them based on that smaller organisation's innovation and agility. And it's now in that context that technology really becomes the competitive advantage, and it's a critical aspect of both the value proposition and the go-to-market strategy. Secondly, another major trend that we're hearing and something that our customers are pushing is the concept of time to market. This is increasingly critical. And so by this we mean how quickly can you introduce a new feature and new capabilities to your platform? How quickly are you able to interpret your customers' buying behaviour and related behavioural patterns? And that's obviously quite closely related to the third area I'll focus on, is the need for a business to understand their market and their customers, obviously, but equally their own unique position and capabilities with respect to that market. And this really only comes from insight and intelligence. And rather than just simply bundling it under the overall label of big data, that banner, I think in my experience with e-commerce particularly, it might be more appropriate to think of it as real-time or rapid analytics, and that's what our customers are actually often asking for. And the final request from our customer, it's something that I've noticed in the market in recent times, and to be honest, it's something I expect will probably continue into the future, is that the huge e-commerce behemoths, Amazon, Google, Ali, JD, etc., they're not only setting the trend with respect to IT adoption, but they're also raising the bar with respect to the expectations of much smaller organisations. Many companies, a fraction of the size of these giants, are expecting to have a similar type of performance delivered with only a fraction of the budget. Now, that's obviously a challenge, but fortunately, Dell has been actively involved in the e-commerce and online space for many, many years. And honestly, it's our aim to unlock those competitive capabilities of our customers, regardless of their size or budget. And I think that should be something that's particularly relevant in the Asia market, where we're seeing the emergence of some very savvy new players, many of whom are probably on the part of the audience today. And honestly, we would love nothing more than to help some of the participants of this session become the next Amazon or Alibaba or Flipkart, for that matter.
That's right. That's great, Chris. So that's a very good perspective from an APJ region, and I'm so glad you kind of tuned to what's happening in India as well. What more would you like to add on how technology is enabling, customer-centric digital business transformation of traditional as well as new age businesses in your region?
Yeah, look, at a high level, honestly, rather than pushing a rip and replace strategy for those that are caught up in more of a traditional IT environment, we see that there is a common requirement for what I would define as a compute-centric, software-driven platform that enables both the traditional and the new IT business model. In essence, technology must support both the traditional IT applications and architectures with a highly efficient and scalable virtualization-based cloud solution. But on the flip side, we need to be able to support new IT applications and architectures with highly efficient scale-out and hyperscale-inspired cloud solutions. So I guess to put that in context, if we acknowledge from my answer to the previous question that some of the key customer requirements in this space are related to addressing increased competitive threats, the need for business agility, the competitive advantages that can be gained from business intelligence and real-time analytics, then in that context, there are some core attributes that we see the market is demanding from a technology point of view. The first being that the technology must be workload ready. Businesses need to be able to achieve peak performance of an application in a cost-effective manner. And that's a broad statement, not just applicable to e-commerce, but particularly in that fast growth market. And they need to be able to accelerate their time to value for that application, or in other words, accelerate its contribution to the business. The second point is the environment must be virtual ready. Virtualization, it's well understood, can introduce an amazing amount of efficiency into an IT environment, but it's still, that's broadly accepted, but I'd say that the production level workload adoption is still under-penetrated, so this still would remain a focus. Thirdly, as we evolve down this path, we believe it must be software defined. As a paradigm, this is an extremely powerful concept because it breaks down the traditional silos and allows customers to deploy complex architectures on simple compute-centric x86 platforms. Fourth point is that it must be optimized to support effective analytics. The overwhelming majority of CIOs that I speak to, whether it be e-com and web tech companies or in general, have some kind of analytics or big data initiative underway in some form or function. And it's really a natural progression of a business's ongoing effort, as you mentioned in the question, to become closer to the customer and respond more appropriately and more efficiently to the market opportunities. And then the final and probably the most obvious one is related to being cloud ready. Obviously, with the maturation of cloud services, that's a massive factor when it comes to businesses being able to provide a flexible IT resourcing capability. That applies whether it's a startup that is unable to afford the upfront technology investment previously required to deliver a competitive e-commerce platform, or companies that see periodic spikes in demand that require considerable jumps in the IT capacity. Either way, cloud services have introduced obviously a new financial model that's immediately appealing to many organizations, be it e-commerce or otherwise. There is, however, a catch that we're seeing increasingly being experienced by our customers, and that's at a higher level. Firstly, that the use of public cloud services, whilst it can be attractive from an upfront cost perspective, many customers find that over time, as they grow, as their business becomes more mature, the economics can start to diminish, and there is a refinement that's required to provide a more balanced resourcing model, which leads to the concept that we're seeing of cloud repatriation, where customers are actually bringing workloads back from public cloud to a more economical on-premise cloud solution. Now, to state the obvious, cloud does not just mean public cloud. Top industry analysts and Dell agree that the likely end game here is a form of hybrid cloud whereby customers find the right balance between on-premise, private cloud, or highly virtualized environments with a burst or interoperable capability to manage public cloud services. And this is where Dell is really particularly focused. Right from the very beginning of our existence as a company, Dell has been an outspoken advocate for open standards, offering our customers choice, and this remains true today, whether it be an e-commerce solution or more broadly with respect to cloud computing. Our platforms adopt industry standards at the core, and we don't try to push an agenda whereby customers get locked into a certain proprietary technology that might limit the future choices or flexibility of the organization. That's a summary. Now, if we get time during the Q&A session, I'd be happy to provide some specific examples of relevant technology solutions that I'm seeing being applied at a detail level within the environment.
Sure, Chris, we will do that. In fact, there's already a question for you on the big data, which we will take up once we do the initial round of the questions.
Great.
Right. So thanks so much. Thanks. Okay. So moving on, we now put the spotlight on an entrepreneur, or in fact, a die-hard entrepreneur, Santosh. So Santosh, I've been told by your engineering classmates that you wanted to be an entrepreneur from day one. So congratulations on building Explora, an event platform that makes events simple to organize and delightful to participate in. It was also great to see on your Facebook profile that you have broken the highest day sales record. So that's really great going. So tell us how Explora continues to be a customer-centric company. Are you taking a platform approach by creating compelling value for both the event organizers as well as the event participants?
Sure. So thanks for the appreciation. It has been a years of focus on customer support and kind of build the platform from the very ground up. Right. So when we launched the platform in 2009, India didn't have the solutions or technology to do an event. Almost 95% of the event organizers were using Excel sheet and pen and paper to collect money and an email to say, hey, come and participate in the event. So we are the first DIY do-it-yourself
Right.
event platform that enabled India to get into on the event. So today when we see hundreds of startup events, way back in 2009 there was one. Just to give a little bit of perspective about how the industry has been growing. But yeah, coming back to your question, the focus is to build a platform. As Chris rightly said, technology has enabled many startups to play a great sort of game across the world. If you rightly identify what the customer's pain point is, go back into the iterations of understanding, implementing, optimizing the cost, and making it such a simpler solution that anybody can get in and and use the solution. So yes, Explara focuses on being a platform. Second, it focuses on both the sides, because as an event organizers, the event organizer needs to make money, and the only way to make money is either sponsorship or ticketing. So we, being the platform, we kind of focus on making sure that we are adding more value in terms of ticketing, right? Whether it's a attendee that gets engaged, or whether it's an attendee that has a problem in terms of payment, or whether it's an attendee that needs more value out of participating in event. That's all we provide out of the platform. So that has been the kind of growth kind of plan and strategy, as you would say, that continue to stay focused in the game, understand, go wider in terms of finding out practices across the world that we can leverage and behave and operate like a global platform. So the platform today, Explara, is used by India. Almost last year we did 10,000 events were organized using Explara. This year we are doing around 35,000 events, and the platform is rightly used even in Philippines. Some of the events in Singapore are already using Explara. So we are in a world, I love this world, we are in a world of cloud, and we are in a world of fantastic sort of technologies right there, and it's just exploding. And I think today, to be an entrepreneur is, I would take a lot of pride in trying, testing, failing, and continue to make the journey. And technology has enabled us to remain nimble and continue to fight back with much bigger corporates or companies.
Yes, that's right. Explara is definitely the living example of that. That's great. So you spoke about kind of following the innovations happening across the globe, trying to build a global company. So what innovations do you expect in the events personalization space in the near future?
Sure.
Yeah.
So when we look at from the very beginning and way back, let's say when we look at from 2000 to 2006, you have companies coming in and going out, right? We all loved upcoming. Upcoming used to be the darling for events, right? Before it was taken over by Yahoo, and then they lost the game a bit, or almost a bit, right? And then there has been several other event listing or discovery platform has come where they simply list it out. But the world has moved to a great extent of data that we know about users, or users are willing to tell you how and what they like, right? And there are nice, great personalization techniques already, whether you are talking about big data, whether you are talking about graph databases, whether you are talking about kind of algorithms to understand interest and then mass up with social data that user is already willing and providing via various social networks. So there is a world of opportunity to understand what an user likes, right? What Amarinder likes is easy for you to tell us, and we kind of presenting you the relevant data points and events, and that makes your life to know, hey, these are the 5 things that I should do this weekend or this week, rather than kind of creating a lot of noise of showing you 500 events which has no sense to you, right? So I think being in the business today for me is to being presenting what makes sense for an user. In fact, we are entering the world where we are going back to the world of personalization, whether I need a car or whether I go to a website or whether I use an app. Today we have the opportunity to personalize and and kind of like be very specific to an user versus a broad, broad everybody can use kind of platform, and the data being thrown out without without reducing the noise that gets produced with any solutions.
That's great. That's really nice. You actually spoke of data, and that's what that next topic is all about. And we'll talk to Ranjit about it. So we move on to a technology evangelist who brings in same amount of energy as entrepreneurs he loves to deal with. Ranjit is very upbeat about the growth of startups in India, and is always willing to articulate Dell's value proposition to them. So the conversation on online commerce is always incomplete without talking of data and analytics. So Ranjit, data is integral to all businesses, but more so in an online business. How can you extract the maximum value from your customer data?
So thanks to all the panel. I think one of the most important area which every panelist spoke about was customer in the first place. Now, what it means is that all of us want to serve the customer in one fashion or the other, and we're all trying to resolve business problems for the customer. So when it comes to data, it's all about the customer. Now, first we need to understand where does the data reside in the first place for us to really take advantage of the data which is available to us. Now, for example, Hitesh spoke about consumer experience, which KFC is expecting. We have different businesses who are expecting different challenges and different problems they are trying to resolve. So you need to understand where does the data reside in the first place. Starting with, you have data in apps. You have mobile app data today. You have real-time data which is available. Then you have data in chatter, which you have in areas like social media, which is existent. You have LinkedIn, you have Facebook, you have various different medias today where you have data in chatter. You have to pick data at rest. Data at rest is predominantly your enterprise systems which companies have got. There is data in CRM, there is data in finance, there is data in sales, there is data in supply chain. So you need to understand where does the data reside. You have data in motion, for example. You have email data, you have phone data, you have all possible data which is available for customers today. Now, before you really extract the value of the data which is available for you, you need to decide. It's a very long journey, so you need to decide where you are at this point of time. For example, people today use data for pure play reporting purposes, right? That's data available, but they have not really scaled that level of what they need to reach. There are people who use data for diagnostic analysis. They diagnose the data which is available with them and use it for certain business purposes. Then there are customers like Chris mentioned about Google, Facebook's, all these guys who have reached using data very effectively to enhance their businesses. Now, interestingly, you also spoke about e-commerce. Now, we all know e-commerce has been in India for very long time. But one of the reasons why e-commerce is really doing well today in India is for two reasons. One, the adoption of technology in e-commerce has substantially scaled up in the last couple of years. The second, e-commerce is an industry which is innovating today. If you look at the marquee e-commerce names in India today, they are all bred based on because of the fact that they have adopted extremely new technologies and they have also innovated, and all the innovation and adoption is based on the customer data which is available for them. So I think data today is available in every form, every fashion. To extract the maximum value, I think businesses need to understand what is the business outcome or challenge are they trying to resolve. Once they understand that, and it's very important to have a correlation between IT and businesses here, because if these two are going in parallel directions, it will be very difficult for businesses to resolve the problem they are trying to resolve. So it's very important that end of the day, to extract the customer data which is available in all forms today, it is important to first put across what is the business outcome or the challenge you are trying to resolve.
Okay, that's great, Ranjit. Dell has itself been a pioneer in the e-commerce space, even before it was known as e-commerce. How have you been leveraging data within Dell for competitive advantage?
Well, interesting. You raised a topic about Dell because Dell is one of the oldest e-commerce companies in the globe. Even before the adoption of internet, in fact, we've started using data. Now, when we started using data before the adoption of internet, we had data in the form of telephone directory, we had data in the form of direct mailers, we had data in the form of service to segments and new customers, we had data in the form of phone orders, and we had data in the form of mailers. So we started using data even the inception of internet. We started using supply chain data in the system to create just-in-time inventories, and this happened prior to even internet existed. Now, post-internet, we were the first company in the globe today to start selling built-to-order systems. We used to configure and sell systems online directly to customers. We migrated the offline customers who used to exist across to online to make it easy for them to start buying. We started tracking customer behavior, for example, online and across social medias and on Dell.com. We also created a portal, for example, IdeaStorm, which was basically to give input from all our customers on their experience of how Dell's new products are and how Dell's solutions are. So we use data effectively in all forms of our businesses. And let me give you an example. We, for example, started using analytics to really look at our customer data and improve our customer experience. And we use it through a Net Promoter Score, which we measure our customer experiences. We started improving our supply chain, our forecast and demand inventory. Today, if you look at it, Dell is known globally as the best supply chain company in the world. We use marketing data, which is available from our websites, which is available from our customers who visit our stores. We use all these data effectively. What is important is integration of these data, which is available for us. Now, just to give you a simple example, we did product category optimization. Now, if you look at a simple product which you configure online, you could have 60 million options to configure a particular product. Now, we also understood that less than 15% of these configs drive 72% of our sales. Now, what this means is that when you analyze this data, it helped us basically have a right SKU creation, it helped us do a right bundle creation, and it also helped us do a good supply chain analysis and forecasting as far as our demands were concerned. So what Dell basically did was effectively use data which is available out there. We effectively integrated within our systems, which started helping us in all forms of our business. Just last one thing specifically around the social media part, we also run or use a tool which is specific to, it's a patented tool for Dell, which is a social net advocacy. Now, this is the indicator of the purchase intent. Now, if you look at social chatter, which actually happens out there, it is very important that we start using all the social media available options for us to understand how customers are reacting. For example, we look at every product launch, how do customers react out there in the web, in the chatter, and use that effectively for any enhancements that need to be done as a product, or any enhancements that needs to be done from our strategy to the market is concerned. So Dell is one of the biggest users of analytics in the world, and we use the data which is available for us in a very, very effective way.
That's great, Ranjit. This was almost kind of an intro class on data management, and we'll try and maybe talk in person as well, and let some of our participants learn more about it. So, dear members, we already have questions from the audience, so we'll take up them one by one. We'll first request Hitesh. Can you see your question, Hitesh? Your mic is mute. Sorry.
Yeah, I can see the question.
Okay.
So the question is from Praneeth, and it is in two parts. So I will take each part and answer quickly. The first one is, how are you driving traffic to the digital touchpoints? It is both organic and paid. So as the digital world works, you have an organic traffic which comes in basis of your global marketing and the consumer and the marketing campaigns which you run across various channels, and you talk about your e-commerce site, and hence there is a natural traffic which comes by itself. And of course, then you run some paid channels across the digital world, which brings in traffic to you. So these two are the modes by which you're getting. There's another part B to this particular question: is the ROI on the spend good? Yes, overall, I think the ROI has been very decent. We started, we went online almost a year, almost I think 14 months back, and over the last 14 months we have seen this online platform bringing in almost 34% business mix into the delivery model, which is substantial, which brings in more focus towards this channel, which brings in that consumers are coming onto this channel and placing order and experiencing their food at home, which is great encouragement for this particular investment. The second part of the question was how successful are CRM campaigns. Uh, these are pretty evolved aspect in the food industry. We keep looking into data, into the pattern as to how consumers are coming in and what kind of food they are ordering, what kind of food they are at what point of time of the year and what point of time in the month, what kind of food they're ordering, there's veg, non-veg, and then in a particular segment, is there any particular favorite they have. Basis that, we run CRM campaigns and reach out to the consumers once again, reach out to the customers once again, and start talking to them as to what kind of promos we are running and what kind of offers we can roll out to them, and then and if there are new launches which are happening, so invite them into the store to taste that particular food which has been launched. So all that kind of connect happens to the CRM campaigns, and which is pretty much successful as of now. Uh, uh, do you have structured rules to reach out consumers? Of course, yes. We do have structured rules as to how do we reach out, how frequently you have to reach out, and what you have to do with them. Exactly, or there's a process, there's a design, there's a rule book, and there is a method by which we run over there. So that is where it is. So that's the question.
Okay, thanks so much. That's pretty nice. Okay, so we have a question for Chris. Chris, the question says, you spoke about big data. Do you see the need of data scientists sitting inside a marketing organization in the future to generate market intelligence?
Look, that's a great question. Look, the reality is right now, the data scientist as a role is still, I would suggest, somewhat niche. It's difficult to predict that would be someone that is sitting in every marketing department, but I see a couple of things happening in the evolution. Firstly, as the tools that are brought to bear evolve, the natural progression of the IT industry is to make the complex. This is the focus of Dell's, right? So we try to take complex demands and bring a simpler solution to the table. Now that evolves over a period of time. So my thought on that would be that I don't see a data scientist being a requirement of the marketing department, but I see increasingly sophisticated tools being made available to the marketing department that give them the capability to act as a data scientist in many regards. I also see a natural evolution of the marketing executive becoming more savvy around data mining and analytics methods and technologies. If I look at the way that we approach big data, for example, from a solution point of view, we recognize that in order to unlock the real potential for rapid or real-time analytics, the adoption of new technologies like Hadoop are becoming increasingly present and gaining traction in the market. But the fact is that, to your point, I guess, this environment is vastly different from a traditional database environment that most IT departments or marketing departments would be used to. So what we've done, and the way that we see ourselves being able to simplify what is otherwise a complex solution, we partner with some of the industry-leading vendors, such as in this case Cloudera, who are one of the more experienced components of a Hadoop deployment, and we've been able to create an appliance that would not only rapidly accelerate the deployment process, but can also simplify and accelerate the job processing tasks. So look, I think, at a high level, data scientists are going to become more commonplace in the industry, but I also see there being an evolution in the technology being made available such that you don't need to have a data scientist sitting in every marketing department.
Okay, that's great. That's good to know. Thanks. So we'll, Santosh, I have a question for you from, I believe, from a fellow entrepreneur. He says, what is more important, to build a sustainable business or grow the business in a too competitive market?
No, I think it depends upon what stage you are in. I think when you are starting up, I think sustainability is very important because initial days you need to prove to the cost and to the kind of investment that you have. If you're bootstrapping or if you've raised an angel, you need to have a sustainable business before people start believing in your ability to deliver a growth business, right? So first and foremost is sustainability of the entire thing. And I think beyond that, if there's a huge market right there, you should just go after growth. If the market is still not opened up and you need to wait or you need to be there a little longer, maybe yes, you just need to be cost contained and make sure that you're able to do it without throwing out a lot of money initially. But if there is a market there, go out, grow it right now. It's a huge opportunity. The technology is changing quite a bit of business, as Mr. Hitesh also mentioned about how technology is being used from a company retail perspective that we never had thought that is going to be such hugely impacted. So coming to the reality, we are in the world where technology is changing almost every business, and if you get an options to grow, please go out and grow it exponentially.
That's good. That's good to know. I believe the event management industry is also rapidly growing, and we are seeing some new players, which is very good for all the consumers there. Great, thanks. I have the next question for Ranjit. And Ranjit, you know it in and out, right? That we have this web versus mobile debate going a lot in India right now. A lot of e-com companies going app only, and a lot of new startups saying that we will launch mobile first and web later. So how does the consumer behavior differ on web and mobile, and what's your take on it?
First of all, let's accept that mobile technology is graduated in a very big way in the last couple of years, and hence most of our customers are taking advantage of enhancing their businesses through mobiles, and you've seen that happen with some companies going only the mobile way. But let's also be very careful today. In India, still there is large challenges which relates to privacy and the security aspect as far as mobiles are concerned. And that being the case, you would still see that it is going to take some time for companies to graduate in a full-fledged only mobile way. And that's the reason most of the companies are doing a wait and watch, especially if you look at some of the brick and mortar companies as to why they have not graduated and reached the stage of even reaching mobile apps. One of the reasons is exactly that. And second is also to go the full-fledged mobile way, you need to really have technology. You need to have really adopted the technology which will help you grow your business using the mobile apps. A classic case is some of the new age companies who are there, who have used effectively technology and customers. That's where this piece of analytics came in terms of understanding how many of their customers actually go on the web. And a classic case was, to take a name, was Flipkart. And one of the reasons they are going only mobile app way was when they realized almost close to 80% of 90% of their business is coming through the mobile. I think customers and businesses need to understand before they take the plunge of the full-fledged mobile way, to understand where they are currently, where their adoption of technology is at this point of time, what is the business outcome they want to really have using the mobile, and then take a conscious call whether they want to go the full mobile way or they want to continue with the app way.
Okay, thanks. Ranjit, there is one more question for you, and this is also very interesting. It says, with so much customer data acquisition, and which you also stressed about, where do marketers draw the line of intrusion? With the advent of technology moving from mobility to Internet of Things, will intrusion become a challenge?
Intrusion is a challenge, and we've seen that across the globe in terms of some of the data losses or data privacy hacks which has happened across the globe. So that is where I started saying that the most important part of any data is the kind of security which is available for customers. The second part is that today there are areas where there are various compliances which are existent for most of the providers in terms of how they use the data. So intrusion does not necessarily mean that you take individual data and then go behind that particular individual. What companies today, for example, use is aggregated data. So that is the reason you will see a lot more happening in terms of how they use customer data very effectively without the privacy being hindered. So it is very important that companies understand how to use this data which is available for them, because there is data in every forms and fashion which is out there in the web. But that is something which every company has to decide. And second and foremost, most important is how do we manage the customer data using security which is available. There are various areas of security which is available for customers to implement. That is a very critical part. So two parts: one, security, and second, how do you use the data which is available for you?
Okay, thanks for answering that. Now, okay, there's another question has come. How are evolving data privacy norms impacting abilities of corporations to source, mine, and analyze data?
Like I mentioned across to you, there are data which is being sold out there today in the market. There are consumer data which every company picks up. But what most companies do, like they have specifically stated, is they do aggregation of the data which is available. So they take a large piece of data, aggregate it into samples, and then use the data effectively to target customers. That is how the privacy part is taken care by most of the companies today. That is very important in how you manage the data privacy.
Okay, thank you. Then I have another question which is open to all the panel members. It talks about, there are a lot of entrepreneurs there who are not very well versed with technology. So how can novice entrepreneurs pick up technology and try and build up, businesses meaningful to their customers? Anybody who wants to take up this question is most welcome.
Could you repeat the question, sorry, for me?
Yeah, it says, would love to hear any suggestions for not so technology savvy people to use technology and leverage its capability to scale a business and have meaningful insights to their customers. So essentially, trying to build a business, by folks who are not very technology savvy, but they want to be a technology user to be able to add some value for their customers.
Yeah, look, I'll have a go at that, and I'm sure there might be others to add some perspective as well. Firstly, I think you need a trusted technology partner there. Now, it's obviously I'm somewhat biased in my opinion, given my employment, but I think that Dell honestly has the capability to provide the type of impartial and technology advisory that a company of this nature would benefit from. And the reason I say that, it's obviously not just me doing the marketing pitch, but there are a couple of things that I can pinpoint that's part of our heritage that sort of gives me the confidence to say that. First thing is that since the very beginning of our organisation, we've been an advocate, as I mentioned earlier, for open technologies and industry standards. We don't push a proprietary model. So what that really means is that we're giving customers, be they large or small, the flexibility to basically decide how they'd like to evolve their business. We're not trying to lock them into a certain strategy. We're not trying to lock them into a certain proprietary system. And with that comes economies of scale, but also a selection across the market. So if you think about the industry over the last 10, 15, 20 years, a lot of the best innovation that we've seen has come from smaller or open source supplies. So if you look at the concept of virtualization, it wouldn't have made sense for any of the big vendors to go out and start pushing the concept of virtualization early on in the piece, because it was sort of counterintuitive to their position of selling hardware. But equally, as the technology gained hold, it was something that Dell became a strong advocate for. So you need someone that's going to be a partner with you and is open to adopting new technologies as they emerge within the industry, and is not going to push you down a lock-in path, gives you the flexibility to expand on your terms. And as I mentioned before, I think there is an obvious advantage to smaller organizations without a highly evolved internal IT department to adopting appliance type or package type solutions in some regard. So this could be in the form of an engineered solution or a converged infrastructure solution that pulls in together the compute, storage, and networking all into a single package and gives you a single management interface. So there's a lot of complexity reduction there. Or if it was even in an appliance type solution where you're trying to bring a virtual environment up rather than doing it and picking your hardware, your hypervisor, and the associated applications there, you can do it again with Dell as an example, with an eVaLrail product that we've got that would enable people to power the system up and within 15 minutes be deploying VMs versus the 15 to 30 days that it might take in a traditional environment. So look, the key message here is find a partner that you trust, whether that be a local system integrator or one of the vendors. Look for someone that is an advocate of open standards and provides the flexibility for the organization to make their own decision and grow on their own terms. And then start to look at ways that you can probably simplify a deployment within your environment and have it delivering value back to your business sooner rather than later. I think that would be the key message from my point of view.
Great, thanks. So we are kind of almost towards the end here. And Chris, there's one more question, if you can do it quickly, which is, can you throw some light on machine learning? It's been asked by Dipankar Ghosh.
Oh wow, that's not, I'll have to say up front, that's not my area of expertise. But listen, I mean, how to throw some light on machine learning. Look, I guess it's closely related to Internet of Things and the concept of smart cities and things like that, right? So we're seeing it evolve quite rapidly. The artificial intelligence piece of that is something that it's really something that's evolving at a rapid rate of knots. Again, it's something that there's probably a group of specialists within my organisation that would be able to do the answer a little more justice than I can. But what I can say is this: look, the whole concept of smart cities, smarter machines, and learning, it's evolving very quickly. I can see the interconnectedness of devices feeding that with different information sources, feeding that. And the whole evolution of big data and the associated platforms there being the common ground for that to grow upon. And then there are obviously specialist applications and devices that would pick it up and really, I guess, take it to a further level.
Okay, that's great. That was quite an honest and good attempt, so to say. Great. Okay. So we'll just try and quickly wrap up. Hitesh, what next do we expect to see from Pizza Hut? What innovations you have in store for us, other than the interesting recipes?
Yeah, the interesting recipes are the most interesting thing with us, at least. That actually gives you enough, that serves enough taste buds from our side. Well, we are thinking about the version 2 of the web. As to what more functionalities and what more technology innovations can be brought in. We are working on some futuristic models and technologies which I can't right now talk about in a public forum, but right. you will certainly see some new stuff coming from us by the end of the year on the websites. We are working and we're really excited about those. And of course, once we come out with the Web 2.0, we will certainly come with the App 2.0, which will have some more, what we are sensing is that, as mobile is evolving, consumers are getting more comfortable with mobile technologies, and as they've started using different features. So now is the time to explore those features into the app and saying how do we enable a much easier ordering process than a selecting process today. So there are some thoughts around that, and we are trying to innovate around it. And of course, lastly but not the last, trying to see as to what technology we can bring into our stores for our dine-in customers. There are some pilots happening across the world. We are trying to bring some smart tables over there. We are thinking about one more pilot which we are planning to do across is around tracking the delivery boys and saying as to can I have a real-time update as to where your pizza is and how much time it will reach you, so you can track your pizza post placing the order, right from the time you place the order to how it reached the make table, how it reached the oven, what time it reached the packaging, and where the driver is right now. So that's the thought which we are carrying right now. A bit of challenges in the Indian technology and Indian communication landscape perspective, but then we are trying to overcome those. One last piece on the question which you asked around for entrepreneurs, and Chris rightly brought in the aspect of non-techie to start a technology to find a partner. My submission on that one would be, if you have an idea, if you have a dream, go for it. Find a partner, find a partnership, build a relationship, develop the technology, and talk about it, talk louder about it, and build the passion around it. You will be successful. There's no mean, a non-techie cannot start a technology platform. You need to have a right partner. That's what you need to find.
That's great. That's very inspiring set of words towards the end. I don't know if you yourself have plans to be an entrepreneur soon.
We'll
After
talk.
that,
We
you
will
never
talk.
know.
We'll talk offline about it.
Right. Okay. Hey, Santosh. So, when do we see that I book a ticket via Explorer, and then it tells me, which is the nearest Pizza Hut corner, where I can go,
Oh, yes.
and I can grab a bite, right? When do we see that?
Yeah. No, in fact, that might be coming soon. Not in the Pizza Hut context, but as a food context. So we are working. I think now Zomato has integrated with Common Floor and all that. So might be an integration coming out. So when you are going to an event, you find out what are the nearest food points that is there and how far they are. Right. So it's easy. If you're going to MLR Convention Center or let's say St. John's, you know what are the places to go out. So that's an easy one to do. Considering that there are so many APIs there to do it. But fundamentally, from an Explorer point of view, now we moving on to more of the mobile technologies. Solving those entry kind of like event day kind of problems where you want to collect feedback, where you want to collect entry management, all on done on mobile rather than pen and paper. I think let's go green, and when the technology is right there for us to do, whether it's a iPhone passbook or whether it is iBeacon, there are technology right there which will solve us to do seamless experiences when you are attending an event. So those are the kind of directions that we are moving in.
Okay, that's good. I think the world of events look even more fascinating as we go on. Okay, Ranjit, any sort of last words?
I think the most important part for Dell is, people spoke about novice in technology. I think it's largely got to do with the fact that 28% of e-commerce and startups are based out of Bangalore. So our
Right.
intent very clearly is to take technology to tier 2, tier 3 cities and promote and get people to adopt technologies. So it starts with the government in terms of how they promote technologies as such in different cities and towns beyond the Bangalore's or the Chennai's or the Hyderabad's of the world. And second is, it's our intent to really take technology to every single customer and user beyond the places where technology is highly adopted. Because it's very imperative for the businesses to grow that technology gets adopted even in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. And that's the intent of Dell. We promote in a very big way, and our intent is to go forward also promote technology in a very big way in most of the towns and cities in India.
That's great. That's very good to know. So that's what the nation needs. So thank you everyone. Thanks so much. It was really valuable insights. We have taken a lot of your time. First of all, thanks to all the participants, all the audience who's been listening to this Google Hangout. Thanks for joining us. And on behalf of eMavericks, Dell, and CI Association of India, I thank all of you. I thank all the speakers. I'm taking a promise from Chris to visit India soon, and from Ranjit to do a session on data management for startups, right? And Santosh and Hitesh has already given a light of what is things to expect. What we'll do is we'll do a summary of this Google Hangout in our upcoming monthly newsletter, which we call as eMavericks Insight. We did the first edition a little while ago, where we had featured in Ritesh, founder of Just Eat. In the upcoming one, you will be hearing from Shashank, the founder of Fracto, and we'll also be adding a summary of this. So thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful evening. Go to a Pizza Hut or kind of go and attend an event via Explorer and have a good time.
And
Thank you,
bye.
everyone. We'll go. Thanks all the speakers.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.